welcome to the fourth session of GDSC's web campaign. In this session, we are going to cover Introduction to JavaScript. This session will be conducted by me, I am Vinesh, and my friend Raj. Okay, so we'll start with what you can possibly do after going through this session. So, JavaScript is a widely used language which has many applications. It is used in front-end development, back-end development. You can make games using JavaScript. You can generate procedural art. Like you might be interested in creative processes like generating images. It is also used in machine learning, which is a very hot topic right now, as well as Web3. Now I'd like to call Raj to give you a demo of some applications which is made using JavaScript.
Yeah, so let me quickly cover up with the demo. So the first web page that I would like to show you that is made is this game. I made this game as a part of a hackathon. We won the first prize for the game. So in this game you basically move your ball, and once you crash into the sides, you somehow lose. Your end goal is to make a high score. So basically it's a game which the users can play. This game I made using Canvas, HTML5 Canvas and the JavaScript. For the second demo, I would like to show this. This is a repository that I forked from a very well-known artist. So this is a random painting, or let's say art generator. So the basic thing is using some algorithms, you can generate art like paintings. For example, this is one of the art. So as you can see, like it is completely random as well as completely like sensible. So like it isn't like some random weird things. So it can generate, you can generate mountains and like rivers, temples and stuff like that, trees with the help of procedural generation art. And note that there are no images used to generate this. As you can see, only there are the screenshots. So you don't require any already predefined image source to generate such procedural art. You might be interested in it. So, and the third thing is this random art generator. So as you can see, there are some random images that are popping up. You might note that these images are the first time that have been generated. So it doesn't even happen that this image would have come across by any person before. These are also randomly generated images. This is what is called an abstract art. So this is a slightly advanced project. This also requires a bit of backend that I made in Python, and the front end is made in React to solve the backend without any reload or refresh. So this requires a bit of computation, and here again you have the options palette to change it and customize it. Okay, now I will pass it over to Irish to continue.
So the goals of this session are going to be the following. We'll first begin by describing what JavaScript is. Then we'll cover some very basic things like variables, loops and conditional statements. And then we'll move on to how one can add JavaScript to websites and make it dynamic. So what is JavaScript? Does anyone here have any idea? I mean, it's written there, but what do those terms mean? JavaScript is a high-level object-oriented multi-paradigm language. So, any of you know what these terms mean? Okay, so
Objects are scripting language. We can use to
So basically you
It's not really up to the level of legal using these words.
okay, so correct. As your friend mentioned, high level means it is easy enough for people to understand and code with it. And the second point which you said about JavaScript being an object-oriented language, you mentioned that it is not a procedural language. So that is sort of both correct and wrong at the same time, because the next term multi-paradigm basically means that you can code in different styles. You can you can do functional programming using JavaScript, procedural programming JavaScript, as well as object-oriented programming using JavaScript. But good. So very basic stuff here. As you all know, print statements are essential while debugging code. So the equivalent of print statement in JavaScript is console.log. And to define functions, just like you use def keyword in Python, there is a function keyword in JavaScript. This is a sample code example. So this is how you define a function in JavaScript. You write a keyword function, function name, function parameters, and then the function body. This is a very simple function. So what do you think is going to be the result of this statement? What is going to happen? Why are you so worried? This is 11. Okay. So now this is where things are a bit different than other languages which you might have used. JavaScript lets you define variables in the following three ways. Basically, like the basic ways are these three. So const I guess you might have used while writing C programs. So if you declare a variable using the const keyword, you can't change its value once it's declared, initialized. So var and let, they are very similar, but they have their differences. So do you know what a scope is? What is a scope? Where it is accessible. So basically, where if you use inside a function, that variable will be accessible inside the function body. Sorry, inside that scope of the function. But if you use the let keyword, it will only be available inside a block of code. It will move on to example. Okay, so as you can see, this is an if block. Here we are initializing var a equals to 5, let b equals to 6, and const c equals to 100. Now if we try to write this statement here, c equals to 6, since we define this variable using the const keyword, it will give us an error that assignment to const variable. We cannot do this. Now we declare a inside this if block using the var keyword. Outside this if block, we can still access its value. We declared b inside that if block using the let keyword. If we try to access b outside this if block, it will give us a reference error saying b is not defined because it cannot access the variable b. And same thing will happen with c using const. Okay, so quickly moving on. Loops. So there are 4 basic types of loops in JavaScript: for, while, do while, and for each. How many of these do you already know, like in any programming language? Do you know for each in JavaScript? Okay, so we'll quickly, everyone knows for, while, and do while. We'll just move quickly through them and I'll tell you what for each does. This is a simple for loop. Just it's the same syntax as C. Just instead of initializing I as an int or long, use the let keyword. You can use var also. Doesn't matter.
Similar to private.
Kind of. While loop, again, it is exactly the same syntax as you use in C program. And then do while. Okay, fine. You guys said you know do while, so how does a do while loop work? What will be So a do while loop will run at least once before checking the value. Okay, so moving on to the for each loop.
Yeah.
Python, you guys use Python. So if you say a equals to 5, later on in your program, you can do a equals to hello world as a string. This is not possible to do in C. Similarly, like you do in Python, you can do the same things in JavaScript. You can say, have a statement saying var a equal to 10, and then later on reassign the value of a to a equals to some string like hello world. You have like there is a general type called number like for int, long, everything becomes. The strings are there, chars are there, byte data type. All the basic data types are there. Okay, so the for each loop, this is a very nice way to write code because it is easier for other people who are reading your code to understand it. So I guess in Python you might have used the syntax for x in some list. Then you don't need to use indexing, right? This is just the same thing like that. We start by defining an array. So like, this is the syntax how you define an array in JavaScript. Again, I guess it is similar to lists. So you define an array and then you say array not for each. For each is a method defined on array. For each element, what is element? When you type in Python for x in list, x is your element. You can write x also. For every element, this is an advanced concept, sort of, because I haven't told you well about it yet. It is an arrow function. And it is just a function like you could have written here, function inside the parenthesis, you could have written element and then use the curly braces to define a function. Basically, the argument to this for each method has to be a function. So for every element, you will call a function whose body is this. What will this function do? So this for each loop do, it will iterate through the array, it will go to each element and log it, print it. You guys understood for each? You are saying that will it go to the new line, right? Yeah. Okay, this is it. See, do you know a bit of Java? Okay, so in Java, when inside an object, you are trying to define its properties, its methods, its attributes. So you say something like public string name. So or say private string phone number. So if you say public string name, then outside whenever you create an instance of that object, you can directly do say my object dot name, and that will be accessible to you because you defined it as being public. But if you try to do my object dot phone number, because you defined it as private, yeah, it is only accessible inside that object class. Similarly, when you use let, see, here you can use var also, it doesn't matter in this particular example. But say, like, can you go to the basic var? Yeah, see, this is a if block. When you define a variable with let inside a if block or any code block for that matter, its value will be accessible only inside this block. So when I try to do console.log b, it will give me b is not defined.
Like your private
yes, I can do console.log b here, it will print 6.
yeah, most variables also are not accessible outside.
Yes. Okay, so moving on to conditional statements. This is where things start to differ from other programming languages which you might use. So the basic things remain the same. What is if, what is else, you all know. So I won't be spending much time on those. See, in JavaScript you have something which is a double equals and a triple equals. Okay, single equals is obviously there, but that is a second topic. So does anyone here know what the difference between the two?
Value is first one double
correct, but like not correct at the same time, because what do you mean by value? We'll see what I mean, because I don't know why the creators of JavaScript made it this way. It is just overly complicated at this point. See, what he said is, here we have defined a variable string a equals 5. 5 is a number. Consider it 8 digits for sometimes, for now, because you guys don't know what a number is. Number is just like an all-encompassing class to represent integers, long, everything. So if you say a is a double equals the string 5, what do you think it will return, true or false? See, intuitively it should be false, but it is true. Because here, like he said, you will only be comparing the values of the variable a and the string 5. So this first if block will get executed. It will print first condition. Now on the other hand, if we say is a, it's a if statement, I am saying is a because I am asking a question. Is a triple equals the string 5. Now what will it say? 5? Now see, you said it will return true when the values are equal. What is the value of this current? Why is it true? How is it true? It is true here, that's why. Okay, so basic math we do. A equals B is true. A equals C is true. C equals B is false.
Java, when strings and numbers are considered together, a string can higher priority on this. So I think the number 0 is also considered like a string. Does that make sense?
I am not asking why this is true, this is true. I am asking if this is true and this is also true, then why is this true? No one knows. Like, whenever you are using double equals and triple equals, you need to be really sure about what your condition actually is. Are you only comparing the values, or are you actually wanting both the objects to be of the same type, that is a string or a number? Now we'll move on to how one can actually add JavaScript to websites, which is the primary aim of this session. Okay, so first of all, any questions up to this point? Okay, no, because see, classes are an important part from a programming language point of view. For the purpose of this session, we are more focused on how one can use JavaScript and integrate it with web development. Okay, so now I'll hand it over to Raj. Input in JavaScript. Like, see, like I said, once you start integrating it with the web page, what will happen is usually you have some sort of an input field on your website. Then in your HTML code, you will have some reference to what that input field is, and you could directly reference it in your JavaScript. It will become clear like once you start discussing the website, like the integration with the web page part. Good question. You see, like I said, no one actually uses that with JavaScript without adding it to websites.
Yeah, so first of all, like as he asked, how do you take input? You use a prompt function called to take inputs generally. If you are using JavaScript for other purposes such as like competitive programming or stuff like that. Regarding the other part, so now we will continue with adding JavaScript to web pages. So first of all, DOM stands for like document object model. Anybody has yeah, so like the next line is, you can read it, says like the DOM HTML DOM API. Does anybody have any idea of what an API is? Yeah, but what does that mean?
It's like the application gives like calls to the backend.
Yeah, in a way, what you say is like correct. So, an API provides abstraction to the user in form of functions and objects so that they can easily use them without worrying about the underlying implementation. So, let's say I want to use some complex memory management system. I want to use some variables and I don't want to be involved in memory management. Then in general, we are getting an API on how to use it. If I want to like access the web browser's close button, I don't need to like create my own web browser and then get an access to it. Instead, what I can do is like I can use the endpoint that developers have made so that I can access it. So yeah, so the next point is event listeners. So anybody any idea of what an event is?
Everything that you do on the web page, like clicking on something or selling something.
Yeah, so like in HTML, every component is considered an element. So for example, a div or anything. So whenever the state of a div changes, like whenever you hover over it or you try to change it in a way, then an event is triggered by the HTML browser. Now this allows you to connect your JavaScript script to these events, so that whenever these events are triggered, you can trigger a function as well along with this on the trigger of an event. So an event listeners are like functions that can be attached to elements that are triggered when an event occurs. Yeah, so this is a basic code on how you can add events. So for example, in this case, we would be just adding the same event as hover that you use in CSS. So as you can see, like we are just adding an event listener that is like mouse over. So whenever a div, in this case a button is hovered, like the mouse comes within its range, within its display range, we call this function button or style dot background color green. That is what it will do is it will change its style and it will change the background color from its style to green. And whenever the mouse is out, you would want to change it to the default. So we would again trigger this. So we use mouse out to again trigger the function so that you can change it to the default color. So let me show you a demo. Yeah, so this is the button. When you hover over it, you can see the color change, right? There is no CSS, as you can see. JavaScript is integrated along with this. Yeah, as you can see over here. The second example is also the same, except for mouse over me, you can also do this click me. Through this click me, it will trigger the function every time you click it, and from the previous state of the function you can change it to the next state as you would want to change it. Yeah, so like I think the best way to learn is like to do it alongside. So I would want you guys to code along with me, or like try to code along as much as possible. So you guys might have got the boilerplate. Yeah, Vinesh will send you the template or the code that is like HTML code and CSS that is required to go through this hands-on. So try to follow along with so basically let me introduce you what we will be trying to make. So we will be trying to program this basic JavaScript game where if the cards match, you are going to get a point, and if they don't, they will be flipped again, and you will have to guess or basically remember where the card went. Okay. Yeah, so you might have got in your group. Please download it and unzip it.
Share a GitHub link as well for the students who are not students from our campus.
Yeah,
URL visible.
is the URL visible? If it is, then you can also go to this URL and download the repository.
Once you add this URL, you just need to click on import and then download as well.
So has everyone downloaded?
So is everyone having the files which you sent? So we'll start now, okay?
Yeah, so let me just go through the already given boilerplate ones or the template ones. So first of all, what this mycards does is like it gives you the access to the container that we will be currently displaying and working on. This is the results array that which will be storing the flipped cards, that the cards that whose value you can see and are not yet decided if they are correct or wrong. The counter helps you to get how many correct cards, pair of correct cards have been chosen yet. The text helps you to show them you need once all the cards have been flipped correctly, and these are the images. The images are preloaded. I kept them in style.css so as for your so as they don't get messed up. Now what I do is like I duplicate this array because we need to have each card 2 times, and I concatenate it with the cards array, that is our original array. Now what I did is like I called a function shuffle. I made a function shuffle. So there are many ways to shuffle an array, but this is the basic one. What you do is you iterate from the back of the array, that is from the last element to the first element, and you choose any random element in between and swap with that. It is guaranteed to be shuffled, but let's get to the main core functionality of it. So now you have to insert all the cards in the DOM.
Does anyone have any questions up to this point? How we are shuffling the card?
Yeah, and this is a compressed version of it. If anybody is interested in that, they can know how we can compress this in just one line using this for loop. So we go on for inserting the cards in the DOM. So to insert the cards into the DOM, we will like iterate over all of the cards, and we will add so we create an element view. You can create as well as delete, as well as you can change any element in your HTML with the help of JavaScript. You add a class name, card, you add a dataset name, you add the card in the dataset, and you add the view to the container that we had picked earlier. Yeah, but one more thing you would need to do, and that is to like add an event lister to the card in case if the card is big. And so what I will do is I will just like for now, this is the working site. This is just for my reference. So what basically you have to do is you have to do like card.config plus the function. Whenever you are clicking it, this function will be clicked. So like basically config is also a basic array. Yeah, so if the card is currently not flipped or card is not correct, and if we are clicking on that card, then we need to make its class name to flip, and the CSS is written in such a way that it will automatically flip it as soon as it will get the class name flipped. And we will get the name of this card and put it in the results array, because our results array depicts the cards that are currently flipped but are not exactly correct. Yeah. So now in case if results array is length is greater than 1, that is it is exactly 2. Then we would need to check if both the numbers are correct or not. So if both the cards are correct or not, otherwise we need to flip it back. So what we can do is if result array 0 is equals to result array 1, then we will schedule change to correct. Schedule change correct will what we'll do is like it will delay the specific delay moment before scheduling, before telling the user that it is correct, because there needs to be some response time. And we increase the counter with 1, and we check if there is a min, if all the cards have been flipped, we check for the condition using this min array. And for the results, and we make the results again empty because we would want them to flip again. In case we would not like to consider them for the next trial. Now otherwise, if